So I'm just going to introduce our college panelists. We have Kylie, who is currently attending Case Western Reserve, and we have Adela, Chizu, and Helen, who all attend UCLA and are a part of their undergraduate nursing program. And just a little bit about each of them. Adela specializes in pediatrics and has worked in hospitals and studied cells and proteins in research labs. Cheesy was an intern for Kaiser and currently writes public health articles for Peacefully and Breathe. And Helen specializes in neonates and has volunteered at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center and was also Public Relations Chair of Nursing Students at UCLA. And last but not least, Kylie is not only a nursing major, but minors in business and is currently an active member in NSNA and Morale Committee in Spartanthon. So we are excited to have all of them as speakers. And now panelists, please take it away. I can just give a little question or something that you guys can talk about until questions start coming into the chat of what you guys can discuss. So I think first, maybe some why you got interested in the field that you're currently in, like what led you to pursue nursing instead of, med or any other kind of STEM field?
Hi, I can go first. Hi, my name is Adela. I go to UCLA, like she mentioned before. I was actually a neuroscience major before I switched into the nursing program. And actually, it's kind of interesting because I actually took up nursing after I got into research and learning a little bit more about the humanities side of nursing, I guess. So I can talk a little bit about that if anyone is interested. But I did research on certain cells called the IL-15. So yeah, and I worked with the NICU at St. Joseph's Hospital of Orange, and as well as the mother and baby unit the most. But yeah, if anyone else is like interested in talking about their story, please take it away.
I can go. So yeah, I go to UCLA. I'm a nursing major. I'm actually going to be a second year this year. So the reason why I chose nursing versus like other careers is I did an internship at Kaiser before my senior year of high school. And there I interacted with a lot of nurses, and I always thought I wanted to be a doctor actually. But seeing the patient care that nurses do, it's very, you only have a couple of patients. You're assigned to like 4 or 5 versus a doctor who sees more. So the relationship that you form with like your patient or the person is much deeper than a doctor, which is why I chose nursing. Also, nursing, you can like go into so many different fields. Currently, I'm interested in public health nursing. So there's just a lot of different options for you, which is why I decided to go nursing.
I think I'm Kylie. I go to Case Western for nursing. I think mine's also similar to Chisu, where I really like the direct patient care side of nursing. I volunteered at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center, and I just really liked, or I just kind of got to see like all the different healthcare professionals when I was volunteering. And I think out of just like when I was like shadowing a nurse when I was volunteering, I feel like I liked how just like all the little things they did, because like they do tend to do a lot of or they just have like the most interactions with the patients for sure. And I think I like the relationship that was formed between the patient and the nurses.
Hi, I'm Helen. I'm also a third-year nursing student at UCLA. For me, I chose nursing because of an experience I had back in high school where I was interning at a local hospital, and I was given the opportunity to we got to go to like different like departments, but I got to go into the NICU, and it was truly like memorable experience for me. And to me, like just being there, like I had like a sense of desire to want to help the types of patients in there and be a source of support for the families there. So that really like that experience really piqued my interest in nursing. And rather than being a doctor, I feel like nurses, they have a more patient interaction. It's like more like patient-centered care, and I feel like the pathway is also like quicker than a doctor, and there's a lot of like good job benefits that come with it that I really liked.
All right. So next, I think you guys all kind of talked about why you guys did nursing in the sense that like you had a previous experience. So how exactly did you get that experience, or how were you exposed to that? Like application, how did you get that opportunity? Like in terms of nursing and healthcare, because it is definitely difficult because of like rules and stuff like that. So what you guys did and how you guys reached out.
I can go first. I can talk about my Kaiser internship. So I did it through the program KP Launch, and I know that juniors going into senior year of high school can apply. But there's a lot of different internships. They don't have to be technically like nursing focused, but just getting like involved in like healthcare, whether that's like volunteering at a hospital, shadowing doctors or professionals. I think that really helps because at least for me, nursing, UCLA nursing, it's very like once you get in, you're like kind of stuck for 4 years, and then you get your BSN. So they want you to know that you want to do nursing, kind of. So they ask for like a separate supplement for nursing. So I think it's good to get experience and know that you want to do nursing before at least you apply to LA nursing. At least for me, yeah.
Okay, hi. So there were two things that I was involved in, and the first one was called COPE Health Scholars. I think for anyone who is interested in going into any kind of medical field should try the COPE Health Scholars. There's like a lot of locations throughout California, but it's basically you go through an interview process, and then if you get selected to be a health scholar, you go through intensive training on the U.S. healthcare system and the clinical nursing practice and practical hands-on patient care, and you get to actually do assist patients with care tasks such as bathing, feeding, changing, ambulating, and checking vitals under a supervision of a licensed staff member. So it's kind of like volunteer hours, but I got to work in so many different departments, and that's kind of how I settled on, liking pediatrics and things like that, was because I was able to go through different pods and different departments under a certain, like for 3 months. Every 3 months you get a department. Yeah, it's COPE Health Scholars.
Yes, so anybody who like mentions like a program or something that you guys have done, you guys
Yeah.
could like type into the chat, because I think people are like interested in what you guys did and to see like if they could do something similar. So yes.
So the first one, yeah, is called COPE Health Scholars. And after you're done with the program, you actually do get a pre-licensure like a degree, or not a degree, like a certificate from UCLA, because it is connected to UCLA. So I would highly recommend it to high school students or, college. Yeah. And then the program is not suspended due to COVID right now. I think I just saw a question about that. It's still going on, but you will have a little bit of a restriction. And there are still times where you still need to go through the interview process, and we only take applications at a certain time. So yeah, and there's also leadership like opportunities that are with that. I got to be an administrative coordinator, so I got to kind of handle the files for cohorts who were in certain departments, like their CPR certificate and their just vaccinations, keeping that up to date. So if you wanted some leadership opportunities, there's that there. And then the second one that I was involved in was called SURF, or Summer Undergraduate Research Program. And this is offered by Chapman University. And I'm actually unsure if they offer this to high school students in particular, but it's also like a very rigorous, very selective program. Only around 50 people, 50 students get to directly work with the Chapman professors, and you get to research, things that other people usually don't get to research. So they get a lot of funding through that. And it's a summer program that you basically work and research for 30 hours a week. Yeah.
As for me, like in high school, I volunteer at two different medical facilities, and then I also had an internship at a local hospital. So I volunteer at a pediatrics office and a senior home that focuses on Alzheimer's. And for those two opportunities, they're both like local and small like places. So like I looked up like a bunch of different places, like 20 to 30 places around my area that focus on like medical facilities and clinics that I'm interested in. And then I would just like contact them and ask them like, oh, like, are you looking for volunteers and stuff? And it was like, I feel like that's like a really way to get involved in your local community. And since they were both like very small like clinics and offices, I built like a really intimate connection with those people, and they helped me write like recommendation letters when like applying for colleges. So that was like those two, like I had like a really good like experience there, and it's like I also like learned a lot because it was like very local, so not many people applied for like those places. So I would like I highly encourage you to like reach out to like medical facilities in your local community and see if they are accepting new volunteers. And then the I also had an internship at the local hospital, and that was through a program called ROP, and I can type that in later, but it's the ROP has like a lot of different fields where you can learn about like any like career field you're interested in, and they had one for nursing at the time. So you just apply, and usually you get in. Like it just based on like first come first serve. But that experience was really good since I got a lot of like hands-on experience there, and like it was more than like more hands-on experience than like normal volunteers at hospital, since like we got to take vitals, we shadowed like a nurse, and if you ask the nurse, they let you do like a lot of different things as long as you ask the nurse, and it's just like truly like a really great experience. So if like ROP isn't like canceled because of COVID, I would like highly encourage like applying for that, since I feel like that was where I got the most hands-on experience in the hospital.
I think for me, like others, I also volunteer at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. And I think on top of that, I think I took a course at Dianza, which is like a community college near our area. It was called Career Opportunities in Nursing. And then it just basically like, it doesn't really have any like requirements to take that course, although it's like a college course. And it kind of like goes over like just basic information in nursing, and just like it focuses on like education and just practice portion of nursing, I guess. So I think that was also one of my ways to show that I was really interested in nursing for college application.
As you guys are talking about like high school, like what you guys did like experience-wise in high school, do you guys have any tips specifically regarding like college admission? So like essays in terms of like nursing and like doing nursing programs, because I'm sure that's very different than your typical like Common App. So how you wrote that and like what influenced you in writing it?
I can go first since we're like going like a cycle. So there's like a nursing supplement, at least for LA, and a lot of different schools when you're applying to nursing, there's going to be a supplement. So usually ask why you chose nursing. Or like why did you want to go into nursing? Like what drew you to the program? Something I actually forgot to mention before was I did a CNA program, so Certified Nurse Assistant program. So that's 150 hours of clinical and then 100 hours of theory. There's a lot of different programs. You can look it up online, super local. And if once you get that certificate, you can actually work at a hospice. So that's another option if you're looking for getting patient contact. Um, in terms of approaching my Common App to make it more focused on nursing, I think I wrote a lot about my nursing like experience or like patient experience or like geared towards science versus maybe like I don't know, like art stuff. I definitely geared myself towards science because I knew those were courses I was gonna like take in the future in college.
Okay, so I think for me, I'm so sorry. What was like the question again? I was like answering this.
No, it's okay. It was basically about like how you wrote your essays or like what influenced you when you were writing your essays. Um, yeah.
Okay. I think for UC specifically, because UC is such like a research, heavily dependent on research, I would say if you can get your hands on research, that would be a really good way to kind of stand out specifically for UCs. That's kind of like the route that I took. And I think Jisoo made really good points about, being specific to, gearing towards like science classes, but I also wanted to stand out in other ways. So not only did I focus on, those STEM courses, but I also did a lot of other things on the side that showed more, like I said, the humanity side of me. Like I just wanted to show more that, I'm not just here for like just to be like a STEM major or, just to be a nursing major, but more that, I actually do care about the people. So I chose a lot of volunteering that didn't really have to do with, I guess, science related things. So, for example, in high school, I was the president of Make a Wish, which is more, it doesn't have anything to do with medical, conditions or anything like that. But I chose to do that. I also like volunteered, like my musical talents, I guess, to local hospitals. And so I was a little bit more creative, I guess, in showing like that. Other side of me. I think in order to stand out, you need to do other, extracurricular activities that aren't just geared towards nursing. I think that's like my best advice. Yeah.
As for me, adding on to both like UCLA and Adela, like UCLA has a nursing supplement, and it shows that like UCLA nursing doesn't just focus on academics. Like academics are important, but I feel like there's a greater focus on what you do outside of school, and to show like your interest in the field of nursing, and to like volunteer at like different places, since like your experiences volunteering helps you write your supplement essay. And it's like really important to like show that like you've when you volunteer you've had like some sort of experience that's memorable to you, and something that I guess inspire you to go to choose like nursing and that future like career.
For Case Western, we didn't have a separate nursing application. I don't know if they do now. I heard that they added it, but when I applied, at least I didn't have it. But my Common App was actually about kind of like geared towards nursing and healthcare area. So I think even if you apply to schools with no nursing application, like a separate nursing application, I feel like you can also just incorporate kind of like your experience at the hospital, or just like you can just kind of like show your passion for nursing even in your Common App.
Okay, thank you. We actually have a question from the chat related to if you guys have ever done interviews related to nursing, and in that setting, like what kind of questions were asked, and like how did you answer them, if you guys have a general idea.
Do they mean like interviews related to the nursing work or nursing schools in general? Because I have gotten interviews related to nursing. Specifically, they're called MMIs, or multiple mini interviews, where it's kind of set up into separate And this is for getting into nursing school, by the way. And this was for Cal State Long Beach. You do MMIs, as in you have like separate pods that you have to go into, and there's several interviewers, and they ask a single question, and you go around doing either certain tasks that they ask you to do, or write an essay, or like in 10 minutes, or just kind of like an interview talking kind of style. It's all incorporated in that one interview. So yeah, I would say the type of questions, they range from very clinical to very specific questions, such as like, what would you do in this situation if you were ambulating a patient and patient falls, like what are you supposed to do? So they ask a lot of highly specific questions, but also they ask generally, what is your passion? Like, why do you want to do this? What departments do you want to go into? And what are your intentions for wanting to be in this program? That sort of thing. And
do you have like tips on those MMIs? Like now that you've kind of specified that that's the kind of interview process that you went through.
Honestly, practice makes perfect, as in when I first started MMIs, actually we do MMIs for the Cope Health Scholars program too, and we actually grade you on like how you do your leadership skills and things like that. So yeah, I would say just kind of even just trying out for these volunteer positions who do offer the interviews, I would say that's really good hands-on practice. But also you can kind of like practice at home if you like just kind of like look up MMI questions online. They do come up, but they are more like situational questions. So I would say that you want to just kind of prioritize patient care and patient autonomy as much as possible as you're giving your answers. So yeah.
Okay, so we can move on to a different question. Thank you for answering that in terms of interviews. I think this kind of goes into like a double question of like how has this pandemic kind of affected you studying your major? And in terms of that, how do you recommend ways to get involved in doing extracurriculars? Do you know of any that are virtual that existed even before this pandemic? And so like, yeah, it's kind of like two-sided, like how has this pandemic affected your ability to study your major, and if you know of any opportunities that the people in this Zoom webinar or that's watching the live on YouTube can like get involved with medicine virtually, like a good, yeah.
I can go first. So in terms of opportunities, I think you don't have to look for like healthcare. There's always like other opportunities, like what I think Adela mentioned, like just because you're applying for nursing doesn't mean they only want to see nursing on there. So there's a lot of like opportunities I know online for like nonprofit organizations. I would look into that. That's what I've been doing. I'm doing an internship, like an online one where I'm writing articles for a geriatric website, so end of life care. And then I recently started another internship about public health measures. So even though it's not like super like directly related to nursing, if it's like volunteering, helping patients, helping people, and just cultivating who you are as a person, I think those are opportunities that are great for you. And then I forgot the other question.
It was just about how has this pandemic affected your ability to study your major?
So at least for LA nursing, we start clinicals third year, I think. So I'm gonna be a second year. So in terms of classes, nothing has changed. I think the only thing that's changed is like volunteering. It's transitioned from being like in person to online. Yeah.
Maybe Kylie, you want to touch on how it's affected you, because I know Case Western starts clinicals earlier than other nursing schools. And just to clarify, clinical is like you actually like kind of like in-person hospital stuff. And so
Yeah. So for Case Western, we do start clinicals the third week of freshman year. So it is a lot earlier than other schools, I believe. For Case specifically, we are still continuing clinicals as of right now. So I'm back at my college. So we are back, like all the nursing students were required to come back for the semester to do labs and clinicals in person. So I'm guessing like in that aspect, nothing has really changed. But I heard that from my clinical instructor that we may need to stay 6 feet away from the patients and possibly the nurses. So I guess like that might be a different experience. But and also in terms of like, I guess like volunteer activities, I feel like I know that like at least for like the local hospitals near my area in Cleveland, they are offering online volunteering activities where you can just write cards to little kids if you like to get yourself self-involved in like pediatrics unit, or just I feel like there are a lot of activities you can do online. Just like kind gestures will be really nice to the patients.
Okay, well, it's kind of nearing the end. I think one question that we just want to ask all of our college panels is why you chose the college you did. So, as our previous Brown panel was talking about, like open curriculum. So, for you guys, UCLA or Case, why you chose the college you did, especially considering that nursing, I don't think people keep in mind, is very different than studying other majors. So, nursing specifically at your school and why you chose it.
I can go first. So for UCLA, I really like. So I chose UCLA in general just because it's a really like big school. It's located in LA, so there's like a lot of opportunities in LA. There's a lot to do in LA. So I feel like it's just like a really good place for me. I felt like for me to grow as a person, and then in general, like not a lot of colleges offer nursing majors, so there's already a limited options. But I chose UCLA nursing because they have a lot of good research opportunities and like very like astounding like professors. So I feel like going there in terms of my professional route, I would be able to have a lot of opportunities that can enrich my learning and enrich like the volunteer opportunities and hands-on opportunities I would get as a nursing student.
I can
I
go
can
next.
go. Wait,
You wanna
Kylie,
go?
go first.
Okay.
Kylie, go first.
So I chose case nursing because I think like the as like this one aspect that attracted me to nursing was just direct patient care. So when I heard about cases, how like they start clinicals earlier than other schools, I feel like I wanted to get the most clinical hours as possible when I'm in school. So that was one reason. And I think I also just consider financial a lot because case tends to well, Case is like a private school, so it is supposed to be pricier on the side, like on the pricier side. But Case is known to give out a lot of scholarships, so it's just more affordable for me. And also, Cleveland just had like a lot of access to a lot of great hospitals like Cleveland Clinic and just university hospitals. So I wanted to get opportunities from them.
Yeah, so for me, I think Helen mentioned like UCLA, the research opportunities really drew me. Just the fact that you're going to a school in LA, I thought that was really fun. The location is really great, but also from the schools in California, like UCs at least, only UCLA and Irvine have like a nursing program. So I applied for both. I know I don't know about Irvine's program, but LA's program is really small. So the number of people who are admitted each year is, I think, 40. So in my like grade, there's only 40 other nursing students, and I really like that because UCLA is such a big school, but like nursing is special because you have a small cohort that you're like studying with, taking the same classes with. So you get like individual like you form individual relationships with like all the people there, which is something that's kind of not typical for like a UC school, which is why I chose LA.
I chose UCLA because I did a lot of research on just like universities and nursing schools in general. And just adding or clarifying what Chizu said, it's 40 freshmen and 10 transfers. So I was a transfer and I knew that like, yeah, it was like incredibly hard. So I wanted to like research why. And it is because we have a lot of professors who are very well known, and they're really, really helpful. I would say, yeah, some of these professors are really amazing. A lot of good research opportunities. A lot of the professors are currently doing research as well. And yeah, like I just thought, yeah, how small it is. It was kind of like, it's a big campus, but you have like a small cohort that you get to like know really well. And I really just like kind of like that aspect. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for speaking. We really appreciate it. And hopefully, everyone that was here got to learn a little bit more about nursing and just what it's like to study it in college. We're actually going to be transitioning to our next panel, but just want to thank you all once again for being here and speaking.